Well, let me know if you can't hear me. I'm not a loud speaker. Is this good? Everybody? Good. Okay. Well, thank you for allowing me and my comrades to be here tonight. I've been a member of the Genealogy Society for over 30 years. I think 32 years. So, and I've only done one other program. So I guess I'm long overdue to do one. It's been several years since I did one, but I wanted to do this one tonight about another organization that I'm part of. I'm the treasurer for them also. Everything I'm in seems to be, I'm the treasurer. But this is the Society of, the Sons of the American Revolution. The National Society, and we'll talk about in general, and then in particular our local chapter, which is the James Madison chapter of the Tennessee Society of the Sons of the American Revolution. And I'd like to introduce to you, I don't know if I'm on the slide there, I get ahead of myself a little bit. The guy, this is not my computer, this is the library's computer, so I have to get used to it. SAR members that are here with us tonight have President Larry Newsom, Vice President Jim Collinsworth, we have our registrar David Deming, we have our chaplain David Willard. And then we have Stephen Harrison here, who is a member, one of our newest members, and Stephen's doing the recording back there, but glad to have Stephen here too. The National Society of the Sons of the Revolution, American Revolution. What I want to do is tell you kind of a little bit about what it is, but more about what we do, especially at the local level. This is the emblem. And I put that on there because what it is, it's a Maltese cross with a picture of George Washington in the middle, but it's surrounded by a Latin phrase, liberty. I know I'm not good at Latin, so I'll probably just tell you what it means in English. It means liberty and patriotism, which is really, in a nutshell, what our organization is about. A little bit of history. I don't want to bore you too much with history, but if you didn't like history, you wouldn't be here tonight. So I got a pretty friendly group on history. By the way, we're competing with the weather and the daylight savings time change. And of course, we had a beautiful day today, which I'm glad we do, but that may have kept our numbers down a little bit tonight. But, the National Society Sons of the American Revolution was founded in 1889 by William Osborne McDowell. He was in New York City. He was actually from New Jersey. He was a very wealthy businessman. He had a little interest in railroads, silver mines. He was also prominent in the government. He had worked with several different presidential administrations, and he was one of the leaders in the development of the League of Nations, which later led to the United Nations. So he's a very prominent man. He was a member of the Sons of the Revolution, which was another organization. He was president of their New Jersey chapter. He became disenchanted with them because they wanted everything to go through their New York chapter, and he and some other gentlemen got tired of that. So he had the influence, the money to form a new organization. He did that in 1889. The Sons of the American Revolution, which is broader based, and at the state level there was more autonomy. And he was the first president of the National Society. Later, the next year, as a matter of fact, in 1890, he assisted in founding the DAR, the Daughters of the American Revolution, along with First Lady Caroline Harrison. She was the wife of U.S. President Benjamin Harrison, and he took a role in helping them get started the following year. That's a picture of William Osborne McDaniel, 1848 to 1927. What is the NSSAR? Well, a few facts about it. It's headquartered in Louisville, Kentucky. It is a nonpartisan, nonprofit 501c3 organization. And this is the mission statement. It's dedicated to promoting patriotism, preserving American history, and promoting education to future generations. And we're going to talk more tonight about what we do here in Jackson to fulfill that mission. It's open to male linear descendants of patriots who rendered acceptable military service in the cause for American independence. And that can of course, is military service, but it can also be other types of service. And especially David Deming, our registrar, when he speaks later, can tell you more about that in detail. But that could be serving in a municipal role, political role, could be donating supplies. I think I had an ancestor that donated a horse, donated horses. So that's that anything that was considered acceptable service in the cause for American independence. The organization does not restrict membership on the basis of race, age, color, religion, national origin, nation of citizenship, or residency. We have a Tennessee chapter. It was formed in the same year. The national chapter was formed 1889. And as you know, Tennessee is a broad, long state, long anyway. So there's 6 regions in Tennessee. There's 24 chapters. There are 4 here in West Tennessee. Jackson Purchase is in Union City, Forkadere in Dyersburg, Isaac Shelby, which is a big chapter in Memphis, and then we have James Madison that's our chapter here in Jackson. James Madison was the 4th president of the United States, and our chapter is named in his honor. And of course, Madison County, our county, Madison County, Tennessee, is named for him. He was an American statesman, diplomat, one of the founding fathers, 4th president of the United States. And he took a prominent role in drafting and promoting the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And he was often called the father of the Constitution. And he's an example of someone that I don't believe he was actually in combat during the war, although he was commissioned as a colonel in the Virginia militia. But he did take an active role as a political leader. He was in the Virginia House of Delegates and later in the Second Continental Congress. Our chapter serves several counties in West Tennessee, including Madison, Haywood, Hardeman, McNairy, Chester, Hardin, Henderson, and Decatur. We were chartered in 1992, so August of 1992, so a little over 30 years now that have been in existence. We hold quarterly meetings, and this is when we meet. They're on Sunday afternoons, the first Sunday of March, June, and December, and the second Sunday of September annually. And the reason the September meeting is on the second Sunday is because of Labor Day weekend. We meet at 2:00 p.m. unless otherwise announced, and we meet at the VFW post 6496, which is on Airways Boulevard here in Jackson, 285 Airways. And I don't know if some of you may have been in there. I know some of you have. But it's a really neat place to meet, to have a meeting like this, because it has lots of military memorabilia, especially particular to Madison County. It's like a military museum, so the atmosphere is really appropriate for a meeting of a patriotic organization, and you can take a tour while you're there. It's a really cool place. This is one of our charter members, Bob Hughes. We wouldn't have a chapter without Bob Hughes. He is dressed there in his Benjamin Franklin period costume. He's portrayed Benjamin Franklin for various schools and community events around Jackson through the years. And as you can see, he looks a lot like Benjamin Franklin, or at least I think he does. I don't think you could probably find anybody with more of a resemblance, and he does a really good job. But he's done a lot for our society, for our chapter, and I don't know about other charter members, but I know he was one of them, and has been a president of our organization. What do we do? Some specific activities that we do are Patriot grade markings. We're going to talk about that in a minute. We do various youth awards. We give awards for display of the American flag. We also honor current military veterans. We can talk about that too shortly. I'll show you some details on that. I want to talk now about Patriot grade markings with Larry's help, if you want to come on up, Larry. This is one we did recently. A Patriot grade marking is a ceremony that we do along with descendants of the Patriot, and we involve the color guard there, And Larry's, you remember the color guard, is that
I am.
correct? Okay, this is one we just did recently in McNairy County. It was down in Guys on the Mississippi state line. Patriot Archibald Houston. And this is his grave here, I believe. He was a private in the North Carolina militia. And an important part of this ceremony is the color guard. So, Larry, if you want to tell us about
Thank you,
that.
Danny. Well, thank you for having us here tonight. We think we have a good story to tell, and we'd like to have new members, right, David? So anyway, color guard. That was one of the things that attracted me to the Sons of the American Revolution, because I've always wanted to wear a Revolutionary War uniform. So with the help of my friends in Corinth, Jarningans, if you've not heard of them, they have done costumes for, I think they did costumes for Hamilton when it was on Broadway, because they said these guys are really good. So they used them. But anyway, I always wanted to do that. And this gives me an opportunity to wear my uniform, and it comes with everything. And one thing it didn't come with was suspenders. But I learned on the first outing, you better have suspenders, or you might really get embarrassed. But anyway, the way it also comes with there are two places you can buy things. This hat came from Townsend. It's a company that does period costumes. And so I got my tricorn there. And I will probably change this cockade one of these days. But anyway, that came with it. But anyway, I look at grave marking as we are honoring our first veterans. Now, other people don't look at it that way, but I do. And unfortunately, our first veterans, didn't have cemeteries to be interned in. So they're everywhere. And we keep finding them, and it's our duty to recognize their service and pay homage to them by marking their grave. And this is a real big gathering of the color guard, but I enjoy doing that because you get to wear the uniform and participate as if you were in the period and doing something for a patriot who had fallen. We have a system or a format. We introduce all the guests, and then we have the typical SAR recitations we have to do. And then we will introduce the the descendants. Mm-hmm. I said that wrong one other time. Somebody said, what are you talking about? No, the descendants. And we've been lucky at the last couple of grave markings to be able to find descendants. And it means a lot to me to see a descendant recognizing their patriot. And then we go through, and one thing we do that's I think is a little out of the ordinary is we play taps. That is because it's by popular demand. We do the volley with the muskets. We do a three volley fire, and then we play taps, and then we end the ceremony. Taps, as you know, is a Civil War thing, but the people like to hear it, and so we bought these trumpets so we can play taps. Any questions about a grave mark?
You said you have one coming up in early April?
Yes, we do. We're gonna be up at Union Cemetery, which is on the Bradford Highway, mm-hmm. coming out of Trenton. And there's a patriot up there, Acre, that we're going to recognize. There's an old DAR marker there, but it's old. And so we're going to put a new marker beside his grave. And so you're all welcome to come. It'll be on the 5th at 2:00.
Mhm.
Um, in
April 5th.
April. And we would love to have you there.
Union Cemetery on
Bradford Highway. You'll be on the left-hand side as you're headed towards Bradford.
Is that Plainview? You know, little community called Plainview?
I don't
I'm
know.
not sure.
Probably know Newsom County.
Yeah.
It said the address says Trenton. So anyway, but anyway, it's a nice thing to experience, and it's a nice way to remember our patriots. Any other questions?
Oh, go ahead.
Hope to see you there.
Yes, Melissa.
I have one question. If you have a relative that was qualified as one of these people that would get a marker, how would you go about getting a ceremony for them?
You could call me, and our color guard commander for this district is in our chapter, Jamie Keel. And I would get in touch with Jamie, and he would do all the appropriate paperwork. But I want to tell you, nobody puts together a grave marking as good as he does. And so we would really do a good job for you. And we have no idea where all these patriots are located. So if you run across one, just let us know. Now, a lot of them have patriot numbers. As a matter of fact, probably most of them do. But where they are is a different story. So if you let us know, we will get the wheels working, and we'll get up there and honor them.
Yeah, it's a great ceremony, worthwhile even to go to, even if you don't have a connection to the people. Unfortunately, there are not as many in West Tennessee.
That's right.
As there are in Middle and East, but there are some. And Larry mentioned Jamie Keel, and of course Jamie's Evelyn's husband. Jamie does great with this, and he also sings. If you've never heard of Jamie sing, he sings "My Country 'Tis of Thee" at each ceremony, and I wish I couldn't get it put in the slideshow, a video. I think it was too big a file to put in, but I wanted to get the videos. It's really very moving. He sings, and then
We all sing.
everybody joins in. Jamie leads the singing, but yeah.
Yeah, and the color guard, once we put in the appropriate paperwork, depending on which level recognizes it, you can get people from everywhere because they're all looking to get points for their color guard awards. And so you may have people from Alabama, Kentucky, that'll come and be there for that event. And so it's interesting. So we'd love to have it. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of great things, and I'm afraid we fly a little too much under the radar. We're a small group. We're small but proud, but we are trying to get more people, more publicity. So that's, again, why we're so thankful we have this opportunity tonight. And of course, that we want new members. And so we're working so that we can do more things like this. Another thing that we do that I think is really great is we give awards to businesses and individuals that prominently display the American flag. Has to be a correct and prominent display. But chances are, if you've seen a big flag around Jackson, and some of the businesses do, car dealers and other places, we've given them a certificate of appreciation. This is one we gave to a coffee shop in Alamo. This one is, I gave this one to the Doubletree Hotel here in Jackson. And then this one, we got some coverage in the McNairy County newspaper. We have a gentleman in our chapter named Joe Gillis who lives down in McNairy County, and he has made, next year is the 250th anniversary of our country. And Joe wants to give 250 flags as awards as his America 250 project. And he's well on the way, and he's gotten quite a bit of publicity in McNairy and Hardin counties for his efforts there. So I'll talk a little bit more about America 250 later on. We're very interested in getting education American history in general, but a Revolutionary War and what the people who fought for our independence, what they did for us, to young people. So we have a lot of programs for young people, and one is that we've done recently are poster awards, and these two young men tied in our poster contest, and so they learned American history. But I thought it was also neat that they learned good sportsmanship. They shook hands at the end there. One of them is Jim Collinsworth, the little fellow on the left is Jim's grandson. And what was his poster, Jim? Who was he about?
Boston Tea Party.
Boston Tea Party. And then the other little boy there is Luke Kelly, who is from McNairy County. His was on Daniel Boone. And
No, his that year was on the Intolerable Act.
Intolerable Acts. Okay, that's right. Well, he did another one this year on Daniel Boone. And Luke watches the Daniel Boone shows on TV with Bess Parker. That's his favorite show. And I saw one of those on TV the other day. I was flipping the channels and I thought, well, that's Luke's show. I looked at the end, it was made in 1966. So I was 7 years old when that. But he's not doing video games or that kind of thing. He's watching Daniel Boone. So he made this poster about Daniel Boone. And Larry and I said, well, we can't accept that because Daniel Boone was not in the Revolutionary War. But we were wrong. And Luke was right. Daniel Boone did serve in the Revolutionary War.
Battle of Blue Lakes, Kentucky.
That's exactly
right. And that was what was on his poster. So, okay. Well, you learn something new every day. And so it's really, we do a lot of other youth programs that we're going to talk about pretty soon here, more in detail. Another thing we do is recognize current veterans. And this was a ceremony last March that we sponsored with the local DAR chapter, recognizing Vietnam veterans. And it was at the VFW post where we meet. And Larry, this is about to happen again, isn't it?
It is. We don't know. This is the 50th year of the end of the Vietnam War. And they had a lot of materials prepared for this. We're not sure that they're going to continue to support the 50th anniversary events. We can continue to do it, but we may not have the resources. So if you know of a Vietnam veteran who has not gotten a certificate and has not been officially pinned and told thank you for your service, please have them come to the VFW on the 29th of March. It's on a Saturday, and that can happen for them. It's real, for me as a Vietnam veteran, it's real meaningful to see them pinned in the reaction that they give you. It's like, you're thanking me? Yes, we are, and welcome home.
And
that's what we tell them.
This is open to everyone, isn't it? You don't have to have a connection to a Vietnam.
No, anybody can
Anybody
come.
can come.
We'd love to have them.
March 29th, what time is it that day?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock on Saturday morning. And that's VFW on Airways.
You can see it in this picture, there's a Patriot in there. Back in the back. See that tricord hat?
Oh, I do, yeah.
I actually pinned the guys that last year.
I
don't think I'll wear my costume this year.
We do value our relationship with the DAR chapter here. I know we had some DAR members here tonight, and we do work with them quite a bit. We gave them a certificate of recognition last year to Jackie Utley and representing the DAR. Let's see what we have next year. I'm going too fast. Okay, we give a variety of awards and medals. Some of them, I think these are for like law enforcement, fire safety, EMS, lots of certificates of appreciation. Another thing I didn't put on here that I hope we can do more of is for teachers in school, American history teachers. Has to be an American history teacher, not just I found a history teacher who we could give the award to, and then she said, well, I don't teach American history, I teach world history. Has to specifically be American history, but we're certainly willing to honor them and to help them in their teaching of American history. Okay, we do have quarterly meetings. I mentioned to you the schedule for that. I hope I'm not too repetitive here, but I did want to show you a photo from our last meeting. We met March the 2nd, and we had Olivia Baxter from Children of the Revolution, and she spoke about that. And then we had Jeff Talley, who is a local collector of artifacts of the Revolutionary War period. He's a reenactor for the French and Indian War. Probably be a good speaker here, Ricky. Jeff's home looks like a military museum, so he's a very good speaker. And they spoke to our last meeting. We always have good speakers. Now here's some good examples. We've had Evelyn Keel, we've had Carolyn Stewart, and we've had Ricky Long as speaker. I mean, what
They all were excellent.
I don't know that we can ever improve on that. I mean, we've reached the top.
You could only improve.
That's right. They both did excellent, very well received programs. We were very appreciative because Carolyn spoke on writing of family history. Ricky spoke, and it wasn't a Revolutionary War per se. It was about the World War II soldiers from Madison County who were lost during the war. So, but yes,
Anybody's welcome to those meetings.
yes,
So
yeah.
this-
We are, we're sort of flexible on this on as a history topic, and anyone certainly welcome to attend. This is an important person too, the Honorable Stephen Harrison. And so, we weren't desperate, but we're glad to have Stephen. But no, Stephen is one of our newest members, and we have a little ceremony when a new member is inducted. They get the rosette, and Stephen joined us, and we're certainly very glad to have him. I think he's got great potential this future.
There you go.
Okay, now this is more in relation to youth programs, but you can see all the display here. And David Willard, who's a member of this society and also one of our newest members in our chapter in the SAR, has taken charge of a program called Patriots Chest. And it's a program for younger people, the target audience. So David, you want to show everybody? Yes. Okay.
Good. Maybe you've had an opportunity to see the things that are displayed here, the items kind of speak for themselves. You can tell that they're all antique-like items, and hopefully all of them represent items that you would have found during the colonial days. We know that none of them are original from those days, but they're replicas and would serve the purpose in a classroom of explaining to children some of the things that would have been in a normal home, tools, kitchen implements, toys. Also, we have a couple of the original or the early flags, the Betsy Ross flag and somebody help me, what's the other one? Forgot the name of it. Hopkinson, I think it is, flag. And some other documents, the Declaration of Independence and things like that are, copies, but certainly framed, and children can take a look at them. And the whole idea of this Patriots Chest is that this is a collection of things that we can take in a box or a chest into a classroom and demonstrate to the children and actually let them touch and pass around and even put on costumes appropriate to the time period for a photo op or something along those lines. What we know about kids, anybody who is an educator or has had children in your home, they learn best when they can experience things. And so we feel like this is a good way to take the colonial period into the classroom and let them hold and pass around and ask questions about. Nothing is so precious that they can't hold it and really experience it. So we're excited about the fact that the next year provides a great opportunity because of the celebration of the 250th anniversary for us to hopefully get into classrooms and to be able to make these presentations and involve the kids in the learning process. As I said, I think the items are pretty well self-explanatory, but if you see something up here that you want to ask about, well, see me afterward and we'll we'll try to give an explanation of it. But I think that pretty well describes our program, unless you have a question, anybody.
What have you found the kids like seeing the most? Toys, clothing?
Well,
That's a good question.
I can't quite answer that because we have not yet.
Okay.
This is a
You're
new
still working on
initiative.
putting it together?
Yeah, and
Yep.
we're hoping to, take advantage of this year. You want to take that?
Yeah, we're very grateful for David for taking this on. Hopefully this fall. And you,
Can I say one other thing?
sure.
We're always looking for items. These are things that pretty much I've scavenged at the thrift shops and things like that. But maybe you have access to similar type things that would be appropriate. And we're not asking for anything like your sixth great grandfather's pocket watch. But anything that would be a replica of a period item. And you also may have suggestions about ways that we can get into the classroom. You may know somebody, a history teacher or a homeschool group that would welcome us to come in and just give a little talk to them. So any ideas or help or suggestions you can give us, we'd appreciate. Thanks.
Yes, this is really important because one of the things that we've learned is that Revolutionary War history from this period is really not taught very much in public schools anymore. So there's a real, there's generations coming up that don't really have much exposure to that period in American history. So hopefully this can fill some of that void, and we're hoping to get into the school system some and be able to do that. And we also, we work with, as regarding youth, we work with, I think it's called Scouting USA now. We do, and the Scouts did a really, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, I'm doing this from memory, but we had a flag retirement ceremony last summer at Casey Jones Village.
Right,
The Scouts were involved with that, weren't they?
they were.
That's one of their projects. There is a proper way to dispose of an American flag, and it's a really neat ceremony. And this was done, I think it was sponsored by the Scouts, and Dan Brooks took an active role in it. But it was a ceremony where they took it out and properly folded it and burned it. And that's one of the great things the Scouts do. And we were there along with them for that ceremony. If you want to comment on it.
Well, also, we're going to do it again this year. The American Legion and the SAR are get together to have a retirement on May 17th.
I've got 5 flags.
Okay, I got a box that they'll fit in that they'll get taken care of properly at the American Legion. But that'll be May 17th at 4 p.m.
Is that at Casey Jones?
No, this is going to be out at the American Legion on Perry Switch Road.
Oh, okay.
There used to be an old TV station, a radio station.
Yeah.
It's behind there.
Yeah. Well, it is. You may have seen this on TV because I think the public TV station filmed it last year and they showed it several times.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes,
It was a
it
very
was.
hot day for a fire, yes.
Well, we're doing it in May
Maybe.
this year.
Maybe it'll be a little cooler in May. But we also had, there was a World War II veteran there, one of the last surviving World War II veterans, and who was recognized. And I think he's from Dyersburg, I believe, and around 100 years old. So he was honored at that ceremony. And we do, Larry's one of the key people involved in this, but he visits the West Tennessee Veterans Home in Humboldt, which is another really important thing that we do. Do you want to say anything about any of the particulars of that, Larry, at the
Well,
Humboldt?
the SAR really is strong into helping veterans. So we do all sorts of things. Like I'm a member of the West Tennessee Veterans Coalition, and so you know all the things that we do. But anytime a veteran needs help, we reach out, and the SAR is part of that because we are in the coalition. And so we like to do those sorts of things, and any way we can help a veteran, we do. So there's all kinds of options, going to VA hospitals, the locations that are close to one. As a matter of fact, in Memphis, I think they go weekly, and they have a whole volunteer list that does things at the VA hospital in Memphis. So it's a big event, big thing, and I really enjoy being a part of that. So, any questions about how we interact with veterans? Being one, it makes it more important to take care of the ones that are still with us. As a matter of fact, we haven't set the date yet. I need to talk to these guys about when we're going to do it. We're going to give all of the Purple Heart recipients at Humboldt a coin called the Wounded Warrior coin that the SAR has designed. Comes with a nice coin and a certificate. And I'm looking forward to that. We just haven't set the date on that. We have all the materials for it. And we'll probably advertise it. So if you want to come and join us, that would be fine too.
Yeah.
Sorry, back on the flag, if we have a flag that needs to be retired, can we get it?
Get it to me.
I can contact me and I can find out for you. But the Scouts keep those, don't they? I think.
Well, what happened was an Eagle Scout, his project was building a box for flags that needed to be retired. And so that's over at the American Legion. But if you'll get it to me or any of the Legionnaires, we'll make sure it gets taken care of properly. And if you want to come out and be a part of the event, we'd love to have you come do that too.
What was the date again on that?
May 17th.
Yeah. We have a Facebook page. We also have a website. So I can give you, I've got that information in the handouts, but check out our Facebook page. I post things on there. And so as soon as I know of an event, I try to get it on there. We also do school ROTC student recognitions, and we have one of those coming up in Lexington in April. And I'm going to move on because one of the major things I want to do is let David tell you how you can join. So I'm going to skim on through here. But we are a partner with the America 250 celebration. It's hard for me to believe America's going to 250 because I remember 200, the bicentennial. I bet you all do too.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I remember in 1976, one of the TV networks, or maybe all of them, used to show these bicentennial minutes. And it would be like a 60-second with a celebrity talking about this day in American history. I wish we had that for 250. It doesn't seem like 50 years ago, but it is coming up next year. And there's a lot planned for America 250, and the SAR is a partner in that. And then I'll just, I think we mentioned these, but we have upcoming events for us, April 5th, Patriot Grave Marking in Trenton Union Cemetery. I don't know the Patriot's name, but I will put it on our Facebook page.
Daniel
AG.
Daniel A.G., okay. We have ROTC recognition April 8th at Lexington High School. Next quarterly meeting is June the 1st. Sunday, June the 1st at VFW on Airways. Okay, and then these are a couple of things that we're looking to do in the future. One is the Liberty Tree Project. Has anyone heard of a Liberty Tree or the Liberty Tree? The Liberty Tree was a tree that existed in Boston prior to during the Revolutionary War and prior years to it. I think it was actually planted in 1646. Under that tree, there was a lot of planting done for the American Revolution. That's where the Boston Patriots gathered a lot.
Sons of Liberty.
Sons of Liberty, yeah. And that was where the protest against the Stamp Act was planned. And they put a pole next to it, and which they call the Liberty Pole, and they raised the flag to let people know there was an important meeting. And it made it till 1775. Unfortunately, the Loyalists were able to cut it down, but its legacy didn't die. There were trees planted in other cities, and people in Boston always referred to that as the place where the revolution started. And so today there is in Boston Liberty Tree Plaza, and they have a tree there that stands in commemoration of the original tree. But for America 250 this year, Liberty trees are being planted, and we're hoping as a chapter to plant American elm.
We're going to print the plant the Princeton American elm. Seems to be hardier. Mm-hmm.
They're really hardy trees. I think they're subject to Dutch elm disease some, but otherwise they have a long lifespan. And so
We just got permission from the city to plant one in Liberty Park.
They did get it.
So
that's
if
what
I've
we're
just got to
hoping.
get it over there to them. And then what we plan to do is in August, there was a plate put on that tree that said this was kind of like the meeting place of the Sons of Liberty. And promptly after that, the thing got chopped down and burned. But we're going to commemorate that event in August. But we want to get the tree in the ground now so it can be leafing out and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, and Liberty Park is an appropriate place. We're lucky in Jackson. Liberty Park is an appropriate place for a Liberty tree. The other thing we're working on is the Deborah Sampson project. Now, has anyone heard of Deborah Sampson? DAR ladies maybe have. Deborah Sampson was a woman who disguised herself as a man and served in the Revolutionary War. And she was able to do it for 17 months without her true identity being revealed. This is Deborah. And that's a painting of her, and it looks like somebody told her the British were coming because she does not look happy. But she served in a Massachusetts regiment. She is a true American hero. She was shot in one of her thighs, and she had a sword wound across her forehead. I mean, the fighting in the Revolutionary War was really brutal. She begged her fellow soldiers not to take her to get any medical attention, but they did anyway. But she was able to, they treated her forehead injury, but she was able to escape before the doctor could look at her leg. And she treated it herself with a penknife and a sewing needle. She got most of the injury. She couldn't get all of it, and she was somewhat disabled the rest of her life. But she went back into battle. But there was a fever epidemic that swept through one of the camps in Philadelphia, and she was unconscious. And when she was taken to a doctor then, he learned from his examination that this was not a male soldier, it was a female. And he didn't immediately rush and say, oh, this is, we've got a woman soldier. He did it more deliberately, but he did, she was reported and was given a honorary discharge. And I think she later drew a pension.
She did indeed.
She did have married and had children, but when she had removed that cannonball or whatever, a ball from her leg, I wonder if there was a steel close by, where she could have had some anesthesia. I don't know. She's tough. I mean, she wouldn't probably have been a future Miss America or anything like that, but she was really a true American hero. And that's the elm tree. Okay, now this is where I'm gonna skim through just a little bit, David, and then I'll get over your presentation. You have to join the SAR. You have to be able to document service of a linear ancestor to the cause of American independence. David Deming is our registrar, so he helps a lot in that process. Let me go through. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the resources. I know there are a lot of things you can look at. There's SAR, PRS is on the SAR website. That has patriots listed, the GRS on the DAR website. You can look at various records, Revolutionary War service records, pension, marriage, death, cemetery records. I'm going too fast here. Let's see. Okay, I'll get to that later. Okay, just quick example. This is the ancestor that I got in on. He was Jacob McFarland, 6th Pennsylvania Regiment. Okay. Now, even if you're not interested in joining the SAR, the DAR, but you just want to do genealogy, look at the Revolutionary War records if you have somebody back that far, because from looking at his pension records, I found his pension records, and from that, I found out about his service and the date he applied for a pension. But I also found out where he lived at that time. I found out where he was born and the date. And his pension application states he didn't know exactly when he was born, but he thought it was November of 1756, and he was born in Ireland. It also lists the name of his wife, Jane, and her maiden name, Varner. So you can get a lot of information from a pension record, even if you're not really that interested in joining a lineage society. And if you've been around, your family's been around in this area a while, you can find these patriots. If you're from this general part of the country, if you have colonial ancestors, and in Tennessee were lots of Scots-Irish people, and the Scots-Irish were really important in the Revolutionary War. They were mostly on the side of the Patriots. There were not many loyalists, I don't think, among the Scots-Irish. So I found this many just for myself. Now, I haven't sent in applications for them, but that's with a major part of my family, the Nolens, not coming here to the United States until the 1850s. They came from Ireland then. So this is just, excluding the Nolen lineage, how many you could find. Documenting them and your connection to them is a whole other story. It's not easy, but it can be done. And David is going to tell you about that. A few notable people in the SAR, people that were or are SAR members: Norman Vincent Peale. Henry Louis Gates is the guy on TV you've probably seen. He's an African-American guy that does the genealogy show on there. He's African-American, but he is a member of the SAR. Ricky Skaggs is a country music singer. Oil billionaire John D. Rockefeller. William Randolph Hearst, newspaper editor from San Francisco. General Douglas MacArthur. Mike Rowe is now a SAR member. If you've ever seen Dirty Jobs on TV, well, Mike has done a funny audio about joining the SAR. He's very comical, but he's a proud SAR member. His ancestors were in Maryland. Numerous U.S. presidents, and I ran off the page here. I stopped with Eisenhower, and I didn't get the rest of it on the PowerPoint, but from Hayes, Harrison, McKinley, both Roosevelts, Taft, Harding, Coolidge, Hoover, Truman, Eisenhower, then also Lyndon Johnson, Gerald Ford, and both of the Bushes. And then this I thought was really interesting. These are foreign leaders, two kings of Spain, but I think that's an ancestral thing there between Juan Carlos and Philip VI. I believe that's the same family line. But the one that really interests me is the Right Honorable Sir Winston Churchill, who was, of course, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He was British, and he was Prime Minister during World War II. But his mother was an American. Her name was Jenny Jerome, and so he had colonial ancestry. Two of his great-grandfathers fought on the Patriot side during the American Revolution, both in Massachusetts regiments. Leonard Jerome, who was in the Berkshire County Militia. Lebbeus Ball, who was at Valley Forge. So I didn't know that. I knew his mother was American, but I didn't know he was a member of the SAR. Again, we have Facebook and website pages, and you can access those just by typing in James Madison Chapter TNSSAR. And so, how do you join the SAR? Well, David Deming is going to tell us about it. And I think you've got handouts there, and I don't know if they're big enough for you to read, but let's see, David, if he brought in your...
Yes, if you can pull up my...
I don't know if he... I will say that it's easy to find patriots, a lot harder to document them.
That's the key.
And we do not accept, lax documentation. It's pretty rigorous, isn't it, to get in?
It's very.
Okay, well, you got your hand up there.
Yeah,
I'll see if I
see if you
can
can
find
find him. Just because Uncle Fred said his great-great-great-grandfather fought with Washington does not mean it's true. I will say probably half of the people that know that they've got patriots in their family cannot document it. And a lot of it is not that old. The 1850s 1850 to 1870, if you had a patriot or a family member in the South, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, during the Civil War, most of those records have been burned. A lot of documentation comes from the early census. The first census that was officially put out that listed everyone's family's name and family member was 1850. And if you can document those down and find those, you can pretty much document your lineage until 1890. 1890, all of the records, the states sent all of their records to the federals, and they stored them in one building. 7 years later, that building burned. There are no census records from the 1890s. So documenting some of those are hard. Did you find him?
They're going to send him. He's
Good,
in the facilities also.
It makes a lot more sense when you can see it. There's a website out there called Family Search. It's a free site. There's not any commercials on there or pop-ups or wanting you to buy something.
Can you import his
I highly
presentation for us? It was the other one. Yeah, it's
recommend
on
that you
it's on
go
that
out
flash
there
drive.
on that site, familysearch.com. It's,
Yeah, you can get out of that one. And
come on in. It's ran by the Mormons out of Salt Lake City. And they have sent their people to courthouses, archives, everywhere, and tried to document and store as much as they can. Family Search has got a good, what they call their family tree. You can start with your grandfather or your parents and start, there you go, that was it. Okay, I'll keep talking about it while you're working on it. You can build your family tree, and records go back to the 1200s, 1000, even before. It crosses back over into Europe, Spain. If you start just working your documentation, you can find, there we go. You can build the family tree that looks like this. How do I get to the next slide?
I can push it for you.
So I've kind of put together a person here, and this is actually one I'm working on. Put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. Number 3, that's third generation, upper left. John Terry Chapman and Minnie Hart. Now, you can go up both of your lines, and you don't have to stay with that. Say you're going up your grandfather's line and you can't find anything, switch over to your grandmother's line. And you can go up that line, and if you run into a dead end there, switch over to the other side and see what you can find going up. But this is his chart put together through 3, 4, 5, then up to 6, up to 7, switching back and forth between parent, back over to number 8, and there is a number 9, which was the Patriot. Census. This is for tying generation 2 to number 3. If you can see, I can't expand this, it don't want to expand, where the little red marks are, you've got John Chapman, head of the household, Mimi, his wife, and down 2 is the son, LeBron. LeBron is the second generation. The third generation is John and Mimi. So we've got to tie. Then we go to the 1900 census. Whoop, back up one. Down at the bottom of the page, okay, we see Mimi and her parents were H.W. Hart and Georgiana, head of household, wife, and Mimi was 15 years old. So that ties back to the third, fourth generation. Then you come, if I can see what I'm doing here, come across, and a lot of these old records are handwritten and are terrible to read. But one up from the bottom says W.H. Hart marries G.A. Downs. So that is their marriage certificate from 1876. So that ties that generation 4 together. And you just have to keep going down like that until you find other records. Now we mentioned Hart's, H.W. Hart. Well, there's Joanna Hart's death certificate. Oop, back up. There, come on back. There's her death certificate. And looking at the important things on here is it shows they were in Reeves, Obion County, and I can get down. The key thing here is, come on down, it shows who her parents were. So that ties it to the next generation. Now this is what you have to do to document. You have to have legal documentation. Just because it was written down somewhere doesn't work, unfortunately. I wish it did. It would make my job a lot easier. Here you can see where Irvin Downs married Frances Hayes on March 21st, 1849. So marriage certificates, that came out of the Tennessee County Marriages, 1959. That covers generation 5. Then going to 1850, the first census recorded. We have Irvin Downs marrying with his wife, Frances, and marry their child. So you just keep working the documents, whatever you can find. And here is the death record of, and it's hard to see, the son, Benjamin Downs, and something I've only seen once, and this is it over to the right-hand side, the little, where we go, right here, it lists his parents, Benjamin and Blanche Downs. I've never seen that before. So that ties all of them together. And you can find Benjamin and Blanche's marriage certificate. They married 2nd of October, 1788. It even gives you the place, Baltimore, and the church they were married in. History of Hampton. That's Hampton, New Hampshire. You find the patriot, Nathan Brown, and his wife, Hannah. They were married. He was the son of Jacob and Ann Hook. He lived in Kingston, New Hampshire. So that's how you have to document everything going all the way back. There's a little bit more, if I can get it to open here. But all of that one is the form. Let's see. Let me try it one more time.
Is it the application form?
Yeah.
I've got some up here.
Yeah.
So
It won't open it. But it's the application form.
looks like this.
We put all of that together.
Goes through each generation.
As to who married who and is the daughter of the next generation, is the daughter of or son of the next generation, where it was documented, how we found it, where we found it, death notices of father, and we send it to our state register. They review it, critique it. If they like, well, you've got a comma here, you don't need one. They're that picky. They'll send it back and you'll redo it until everybody gets blessed. And then it goes into national for their review.
Can you tell them about the fees? And
Yeah. The current fees, if you submitted today, is $230. $100 of that is the application. $130 is the national dues, the local dues. I think there's $10 that goes to somebody else. In April, anything submitted in April, they're knocking off $50 of the, or 50%, which is $50, of the national dues, or application fee, excuse me.
good timing here.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's $50. That's better than nothing. But I know it's a high fee. It's a lot higher than DAR. But that's what they came up with at the last national meetings. So
It's a little pricey, but it is very worthwhile.
Yeah.
To be able to document your Revolutionary War ancestor. So,
and a lot of times you'll get down to the 7th, 8th generation, and it will just absolutely stall out. And you can jump over it, that generation, and pick right back up and go on, and works fine. Where am I? Time was. Okay, we're good. Yeah.
I felt kind of special that mine was approved like within 3 or 4 months, I think.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
And I thought I heard you say that you've been spending, there's some that take almost a year or even longer.
Mine-
for research.
My supplemental, after I submitted it, took 16 months.
but that's a supplemental.
That was a supplemental.
Yeah,
They kind of take back burner.
Yeah, that's an additional patriot beyond the one you're accepting
I've
on.
connected to 2 different patriots. Right now, they're running about 4 months after submission. My application, the supplement application, took me almost 5 years to put together. So, I mean, a lot of times they fall just right in order. There's documentation, particularly up in the Northeast, Connecticut, New Hampshire, New York. They kept really good records up through there, and they weren't ever destroyed. New York, for example, where the federal government only had census every 10 years, state of New York did it every 5 years. So it tightens up that gap a lot. But
Okay.
you get down into the southern states, get down into the Carolinas, Georgias, it gets tough down in there.
Well, if you want to join or you know someone who wants to join, you know where I am. You can contact me and I can get the information up. And so thank you, David.
Be glad to work with anybody. And if anybody knows another person, a child, or younger person, gladly work with them. Any questions?
Getting close on the time, but I do want to be sure that you're all invited June the 1st to our next meeting, Sunday, June 1st at 2 p.m. at the VFW on Airways. I don't know who our speaker will be yet, but I'm sure it'll be somebody good. Do we have any questions? Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you again for allowing us to be with you.